I'm back. So, if you made it through my last video, which hopefully you've watched before this one, and in previous videos, you know I've discussed that in 3 months, I turned 40. 40 years old. I feel it and don't feel it at the same time. It is what it is. So, what I have decided to do, in the same vein as Trisha 3 Aisle Threads and Heather the Imperfectly Perfect Stitcher, I'm starting 40 things for my 40th birthday. And they're here next to me. Jen Lee of Quirks and Stitches decided that 40 wasn't abnormal for her to start 40 things. And it's not. She'll start 40 things in a month just because the wind blew from the east that day. So she is starting 222 things. So if you're watching this video and you think, Emily, you're crazy, you've lost your mind, it's not 222. Let's dive right in, because this is going to be a long video as we go through every single project, the chart, the bag, the fabric, the threads, and let's just get started. This one is being started tomorrow. This is a Stitch Folk bag that was made especially for this project. There were 2 different styles that were made, and I was lucky enough to get one. And when I say lucky enough to get one, Barry put these out in I think 3 batches. I snagged one on the second batch because the first batch, I put it in my cart and it sold before I could pay for it. They were gone in seconds. They were gone in seconds the second time. I just happened to be one of the lucky ones. This is for Laura, the Serial Starter's 60th birthday. So I'm starting this with her. What I am going to do is not stitch the entire thing. I'm going to stitch the bird and the flowers, and I'm going to stitch the weird angel border because I just can't not. And then I'm going to wrap it back around like that, something to that effect. I'll make it work. It'll mirror this down here, like that. There we go. I'll make it work. It's going to be great. So I'm doing this for Laura's birthday, starting tomorrow. And because it's a Laura piece, what better fabric to start it on than Laura's favorite fabric, which is R&R American Chestnut. So I'm doing this in a 36 count American Chestnut in my own floss conversion. And my nose is itchy. I literally just went through my threads and pulled some that I thought would look good. I pulled both of these blues. I'm undecided which I'm going to use. Maybe I'll use both. And then these 2 colors on the end are extras that I just liked how they looked with this. I thought they gave it a little bit extra oomph. So they'll probably get worked in somehow in the flowers and the angels. Pretty excited about this. I'm excited to be doing this with Laura, who is just one of the greatest ladies that I know. Her and Brenda. But Laura's just, she's something special. And it's amazing how you can form these relationships with people that you've never actually met in person. 1. I have a bonus start that you just saw. That's over on the side. Start 2. Don't remember where I got this bag. This is Seeking Refuge. This bag came from Nan's Needlework Notions. I tried to keep the cards in here. And she is on Etsy. Needlework Notions. Diana Altemeyer. The Scarlet House, Seeking Refuge. This is the Called For Threads. A lot of these I don't have on rings yet. That may be something that I do later today. And probably should have done before I filmed this video, but you know what? I didn't. So there are the threads. The fabric that I am using for this is a color in cotton, light brown sugar. And I just think that's going to be really pretty. So that's start number 2. I need a Brenda. I need a Brenda next to me to hand these to and hand me the next one. This is a bag I bought in the dollar spot at Target. They had these last Christmas and I bought a handful of them. And this is one I had left. And this is Dark Horse Drum. Never done a drum. This is going to be my first one because Emily loves her a big house. And on the back has a dark horse, some flowers, some threads, and I decided that this was worthy of some lakeside. This is vintage pecan butter. Dark Horse Drum, start number 3. I did not put Elizabeth Isles back in. Gotta stay organized. I have a cat hair on my nose. I know that's what's happening. Heather, this is the one that we're starting together. You need to message me and remind me when your birthday is so that I mark it on my calendar, because for some reason I have not marked it. So this is for us. This is Isabella Fox. Are you coming up here, buddy? This is a vintage owl lady bag. It feels like it was just meant to be with Isabella Fox. This one, I even have a thread ring in here that I made to go with Isabella Fox. But not all the threads are on here. I've been planning for all of these starts for probably 9 to 10 months, something like that. So it's been something that I've been collecting things for over time. Like I went through all of my stash and pulled what I had, and then I made a list for each project of what I still needed. So like I had all of these and I had to buy these. So these just need to be added on here. So here are all the threads for Isabella Fox. She is a more colorful girl than she looks like. And I have, back when I was a member of the Victorian Motto Fabric Club, and when I was getting a few fat halves from them, I got this piece of 36 count colonial sampler. I think that's going to look really nice. She's a big girl. She doesn't need an entire fat half, but just enough bigger than a fat quarter where I'm going to cut into this to feel comfortable. And I will deal with all of this, getting them on the ring correctly later. I love that Susan, a vintage owl lady, she puts beautiful fabrics on the insides as well. Look at that. It's just a gorgeous bag. Susan, I was thinking earlier, I probably need just a couple more bags. So whenever you start making again, you just let me know. I know you took a break for Christmas, which is well deserved. This, speaking of dear Laura, was sent to me by Laura for my 40 starts. Stitching, plants, Buster and Dharma, 40 projects. And this has a project in it that will always make me think of Laura and Brenda, because this was kitted up by Country Sampler. And I always think of them when I think of Country Sampler and their kitted up pieces. So I'm finally going to start Jane Stanwyck's. And I'm going to do it with what they sent me, the fabric they sent me, and everything that they sent me, except I need to pull some white thread, which will be super easy. I think I've got a skein already laid out upstairs. I just need to drop in here and do it like Nicole of Nicole's Needlework did and substitute the one pink for white to give it a little pop. Isn't that right, buddy? We've already lost count of starts, so we're not counting anymore because that was hard to keep up with. This one is an old bag that I made when I first started making bags, so it's not great. It's one I actually would just give to someone once I have another bag to replace with this one, because I'm not proud of it. It's not great. But Thistles and Spells is in this. And Thistles and Spells is the Stacy Nash piece. I had to have a few dark ones in here just so that I've got some for the 13th of the month. Although I don't have 12, so, but I'm not going to be stitching on these 40 projects the entire time either. And you can tell that there is some projects that I was just really aware of how little of a color I was going to use to be able to do this. So I was like, you know what? I need that just a little bit for another one too. So I'm just going to pull off a strand and put it in this one, because the only thing that's that color is her skin. I only need the one. This is a fabric I'm undecided on. When I get to it, I may change it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to change it. I can go ahead and tell you that. It's a little bit too funky. And we'll see what I pick. But I have Silkweaver Ametrine, and it's too funky. I want something more like what I have here, and I'll just dig through again and find something. But this is one of my Halloween-y darker starts. And because I know I'm going to replace that fabric, I'm going to put this over here and have a drink of water. This is another bag from Susan at Vintage Owl Lady, and I just love this fabric. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on. And I just love this fabric. It's so cute. This is one that I've been inspired to start by so many of you, and it's Not Forgotten Farms, the Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. And he is stitched in DMC threads. I have all of the called for here. When I decide to stitch him, I may pull some variegated for his coat or for the cat. We'll see. Just something to add a little interest. And I am stitching him on a piece of Zweigart based Confederate Gray by Weeks Dye Works. to me, that's a very good Halloween-y piece because it's a great neutral tone. It's a grayish, but it looks a little dirty and spooky. I'm working around the cat in my lap. See if we can get the butt to come up so you can tell where he is. This is an old project bag that I bought off Amazon that is falling apart. But it's an empty project bag, so I'm using it. This is also one that I still just haven't decided on fabric for. It calls for just a really plain fabric, but it has really plain threads. So I want a plain fabric, but like not too plain. This is not Forgotten Farm Blackbird needle book. I got this thing with robins. I really like them. We have them all over the place here in our neighborhood, especially in spring, and I just really like them. So also leaving this one right here because I know that I need to put a piece of fabric in it. Maybe when I cut one of these, they'll be, because it just needs a little piece. This was gifted to me and I absolutely love it. Previously finished what was in it, and currently in it is one that I'm starting, and we already have a planned start, me and Jen from Quirks and Stitches and Olivia B. And this is Plum Street Samplers, Friends of the Heart. I've had this kitted since it came out, and I've always pulled it to start it, and I just never did, and I don't know why. I love it. I love it so much, and I'm hoping that I have enough of all of these threads. Maybe I wish to have 2 skeins of this color on hand. Did I do that? Yep, I did. Go me. I'm telling you, I kitted this up forever ago. And I pulled a piece of Silkweaver driftwood. It had that autumnal feel that I was going for. And it pulled out the color of that gold. I think that's going to look really nice. What do you think, buddy? You like it? Still working around the cat. This project bag was a gift from the lovely Letitia. I think this is a I don't know, from them, and it's super cute. It's not necessarily a really dark piece, but it does have a tombstone angel in it, so I decided that that was an appropriate bag. And this is Teresa Koget's Bless Our Home. Just a cute little Bless Our Home piece with the big tombstone angel, which is why I love it so. And it's a mix of Weeks in DMC, and I just have a little piece of Picture This Plus Legacy in there. I think this will be a pretty quick stitch, and I'm excited to do it. This is one of the ones when I added it, I thought, I might even be able to finish that this year. We'll see. This is a Christie Bag from Cross-Edge Quilts. I actually talked her into buying this fabric just because I saw it and liked it, and making bags out of it because it's just so, I just love it. And this one is A Mind Independent and Free. One of my dear Flosstube friends has already stitched this, and I love it. And I may be changing up some threads in it because it only calls for DMC, but I pulled a piece of Legacy for it, which is a really modeled piece of Legacy. So maybe all I want is plain DMC, and it probably is not going to matter. This is a Carriage House samplings piece. You don't see it as much anymore. But if you go on the Carriage House website, they have their own website, which not everybody knows about. You can order any of their current charts or their old charts on there, and I'm pretty sure this one is still on there. Although I think I snagged this one off of eBay because I saw it for a good price. So there is this. It says, no glory I covet, no riches I want. Ambition and beauty are nothing to me. The one thing I beg of good heaven to grant is a mind independent and free. And then it has, Mary Beth Marsh is my name. With my needle I work the same. This work complete. I may put my name and date on here. I really think that would be lovely. I like it. Those are the colors that are called for. It's real earthy, Emily tones. My good friend Diana snagged this yard of Legacy for me, steel once, because you basically need a linear yard to do this piece, if I remember correctly. So I've cut a little bit off of this, but definitely not enough where you can tell where I've made a cut right there, but not enough where I can't do this with it. So I know Jen from Quirks and Stitches. She's so much more organized than me, but her mom's all on board too and has helped her. I'm going to be doing cutting and stuff like that, like when I get to a project. Or I'm not that worried about tying up some of my fabrics. It may just, some of them may stay on a bigger piece until I know I can cut it. Like I've stitched over to the other edge and then I can cut. So there's that. Oh, this is a good one. I mean, they're all good ones. This is a vintage Owl Lady bag, and you're probably like, Emily, that is a really freaking girly bag. I can't believe you bought that. I love dishes. I don't know if you guys know that about me. I love dishes. And I love when dishes don't match. So I saw this and I was like, that's awesome. That's great. It's just a bunch of dishes that don't match. And what I have in here is the Scarlet House Martha Pudsey. There was a long period of time where I did not like this chart. I didn't like it. I thought it was weird. Like, that's a weird chart. Don't like it. It has grown on me so much to now I love it. I love it. The funky border, which looks like little Christmas bulbs, and then the really weird Adam and Eve. If you can hear my neighbors, I'm sorry. They're loud. So, these are the DMC colors. All kinds of funky. She's a funky girl. And then I am also using a piece of Lakeside for this because I needed to. And now I can't remember. Oh, I took it out of the bag. The bag is what had the name on it. This is Vintage Maple Sugar, which to me is a neutral Lakeside with a pinky purple hue to it. And sometimes when you look at it, you're like, is that gray? Or does it have a purple tone to it? Or like a pink tone? It's really pretty. And I think it's going to look really great with Martha Pudsey. It is not the called for, but it's kind of what the called for looks like to me. Although the called for is Vintage Autumn Gold. And I really should have a piece of that. I should have brought it down so that you could see it. Vintage Autumn Gold is... it's so much darker and brighter than this. Yet to me, this looks like the right color in the photo. So weird. Still in my lap. still going through starts. They're going to already have cat hair on them because they're getting late on Buster to put them back in. The zipper is on his head. He's not moving. He could care not. This is a bag that I bought recently from a sweet lady who lives in the next town over from me. Like, I just happened upon on Facebook where she sells bags. Never met her. She doesn't do a lot like of cross stitching or crafting outside of her home. She's like, I don't do meetups and get-togethers, but she does sell these bags, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's a really well-made bag. And here, that zipper, it's a smooth zipper. And hold on, I've still got the sheet in here because I saved it because I knew you guys would want to know. Atlantis Stitcher. Her name is Wendy. And if you go on Facebook and search, she has a group. Okay. What's in here is Winter Rose Manor by Brenda Gervais. I plan on starting this either on my dad's birthday or on the anniversary of when he died. I don't know why. It makes me think of my dad. I think it's the cardinals, because you guys are always talking about cardinals. Even though I don't really believe in any of that, he did love birds, and damn it, he really loved winter. I have a photo of him somewhere where he's giddy, where it has snowed a lot, and he's got the tape measure down in the snow, and he's like so excited. He would go out and play in the snow even as an older man. Okay, so this is Fiber on a Whim, which is a newer dyer, and this is a piece of oatmeal, which has kind of a greenish hue. And then we've got all of the threads here. I'm going a little bit different route with the fabric, but I wanted something a little darker and something that felt kind of like my dad. And there is a stitcher, Chrissie, on Instagram, who has stitched this, and she too did not like the color of the house, which is very pink. The house is stitched in conch. And you're going to look at this and you're going to be like, Emily, that's also a pastel. But the house is stitched in conch. She stitched her house in Coloring Cotton Winter Prairie, which is like, I think DMC 452-ish. It's like a grayish lavender. I don't know. I wanted it to be a brown gray, but then again, it has to be a color where the bird in the windows still pop. And when I saw hers, you wouldn't necessarily think it to look at it on the skein, but when I saw hers, I thought, that's it. She found the right color. It looks really good. I'm just folding fabric on top of Buster. He doesn't care. I'm going to show you. Doesn't even care. Not even concerned at all. Do any of you have cats? Just let you do whatever. Now that I'm showing him, he's probably going to get annoyed and get up. This is what I've been doing pretty much the whole time, by the way. Okay. Okay. I love this bag. I asked Christie from Cross-Edge Quilts if she had fabric enough to make me one, because she had made one for herself like this, and I was like, oh my gosh, Christie, that's beautiful. It's so pretty. I mean, I love funky colors. And you will see in a few of these pieces that I pulled, I'm trying to do some that are, you know, really mellow, but then some, well, funkier. This is another Teresa Kogut. This is Come to the Garden. As I've gotten really into plants this year, this felt like one I needed to get and start. It says, come to the garden, thy senses shall be overjoyed. There is a group of DMC that is used in this, and also a handful of overdyeds. Wait, that's a DMC. A handful of overdyeds, and then a lot of DMC. I appreciate a designer who can use both. I am using a piece of Picture This Plus sand. It's just a lightly modeled neutral. Ever so lightly modeled. It's going to be pretty. And I think it works really well in this garden bag. With all the pinks and corals and reds. I think this is my last Christie bag that I have for this. And it's one where she was like, do you like this one? Yeah, I do. My favorite part about it was this bird. Just perfectly perched. And this is one of the starts that I will probably hashtag Brenda's fault. Brenda stitched this piece this year and finished this piece this year. And as she worked through her own journey, she and the rest of us all fell in love with this. This is the Scarlet House Floral Motif Sampler. It's a beauty. I also fell in love with this fabric because of Brenda. And even though this isn't the fabric that she used, I was talking with Laura and said, do you think this will work with this? Am I crazy? And she said, no, I think it's genius. So these are the threads, which I plan on stitching on XQ Designs Marble Pointer. I think it's going to look really cool. I haven't seen anybody else stitch it on a darker fabric. If you have, please let me know, because I would love to see, whoop, finally down. Would love to see what their finish looks like. I'm pretty secure, in fact, I am secure in my decision this is happening. But I'm excited to see how it comes together. I can see, much like Brenda, kind of getting obsessed with this one. So I may need to save it for later in the year, lest it keep me from starting some things. Water break. We're at the last one in this box. I'm not sure that means halfway, but we're at the last one in this box. This is a bag from Starry Owl Stitchery, Tara or Tara, I know some people pronounce it different ways, on Etsy. And it's just really pretty. She quilts the back as well as the front. Inside this is a GGR chart that I don't know if I've ever seen anyone finish. And I like it because it's a little bit smaller of a sampler. It's not tiny, it's still decent, 151 by 208. And once I started looking at the colors of what it called for, I thought, well, that's just a funky little sampler, isn't it? I love myself a funky little sampler. I'm getting the colors together so that you can see. I pulled a piece of Seraphim Bee's Knees, which is a very honey color. You can tell now why I put this in this very yellow bag. So this is GGR Merry Applewhite. Beautiful Adam and Eve sampler, butterfly, bird, berry baskets, gorgeous border, and just fun, funky colors. I have several like this where I thought if ever there's a day in 2022 where I just need some funky fun, this is one I can go for. Yeah, you can tell I got this from Hobby House because I just ripped the name off of their packet they put it in. Okay, one down. Let's move this way. Let's move from the back. This is one I'm not real sure about. Should I decide to, if there's something else that calls my name and I want to make a switch, it might be this one, which is one reason I said let's move from the back, because I saw this in the back. This is Not Forgotten Farm, Home Place at Christmas. Now, when you see other people stitch this, it's so beautiful. So I need to just do it. The colors are so bright for Christmas. Like, there aren't any reds in here. It's very orange and yellow and green. And I think that throws me off from a Christmas piece. I pulled this piece of Mellow, which I'm not sure I'm in love with. I don't know about this one. This may get switched. But I've had this kitted for a while. I don't know. If you have opinions about Home Place at Christmas and whether I should leave it in, or I initially thought maybe I would leave some free spaces in my 40 starts to be filled with things that come out next year that I just can't live without. This bag came today from a dear friend who sent it to me for Christmas. And I said, perfect timing, because I needed one extra bag. And the one that I put in here is a pumpkin piece. So thank you, Chelsea. There's a lot of Scarlet House in here. I pulled the called for threads for this one. I think this is one thread that someone dyed for me, and I thought that would go well with this piece. Maybe Sambry Stitches. I think you sent me these, Becca. And I remember thinking I need a nice variegated black for Penny Pumpkin. So these are the call for colors, and it calls for Vintage Wood Smoke. But what I decided on, I love this fabric, and I've always wanted to use it for something. This is Weeks Dye Works Dolphin. It's going to be beautiful. I'm excited about this. And it's perfect in this bag. I mean, it's a way too big bag for this piece. But theme-wise, it's pretty perfect. This is an old bag that I made, one that I would get rid of if I had other bags, but alas, here we are still using this. Although maybe I wouldn't get rid of this one, because I made a matching bag when I made this one and sent it to Ed. So maybe I'll keep this. This is Black Cherry Tart. I have a trivet in my kitchen that this is going to go in once it's stitched. I already have the finishing planned. And because it's going to go in my kitchen and will be exposed, I did not worry about using some fancy fabric, because if I ever needed to wipe a little spot of something off of it, because I'm not the neatest cook, just regular flax linen. And the colors are these lovelies. And this is Black Cherry Tart. It's gonna be a good one. I say that about everything I know. It's gonna be a good one. Sound like a gunshot here in the city, but also in Georgia, so not all too surprising. It's also New Year's Eve though, so maybe we're gonna say that was a firework in the daytime. This chart is a Not Forgotten Farm chart that I plan on stitching on a piece of ale. It's just a picture of this plus fabric. And I love this chart because I love the funky bird and I love the pop of color that this adds. And this is Thomas. You don't expect that turquoise to be in there, but it is. I gotta get these on actual cards. And this is all DMC. And it'll look really good on that ale. I know I have cat hair on my nose. Maybe it's on my glasses. This is another one that I might put towards the back because it's also one where I'm like, if something really good comes up, I might switch this one out. And this is There's No Place Like Home. And this was a club kit from Not Forgotten Farm from like 2016. So I've got it kitted with the called for threads and a little piece of felt. And I think we're going to move it to the back with Home Place at Christmas. Just in case something else calls to me more. It's going to go back there. Oh. Okay. Oh, this one I'm excited about. It's a funky bag that I got a while ago from So Much to Love on Etsy. Love her bags. She does a great job. I think she was at the beginning of the project bag craze and is still going strong. This bag is full, but it's okay. This one is all DMC, and it's a lot of DMC. And I made a floss tag for it, which is in the other room with the floss tags that I made. Like I said before, not everything got done and completely put together, but it's going to be part of the fun through the year. Had this one kitted for a while, all DMC, all these bright colors. This is Scarlet Letter, Man, Dog, Steer. It's beautiful. So beautiful. The border I love. And I just got a pretty simple piece of Picture This Plus linen, one of my favorite neutrals from Picture This Plus, which is Bramble. And it's, when you look at it, you're like, is that gray or is it cream? Is it gray or is it cream? It's got a little bit of both in it. This one's, I mean, it's going to be fun. This is another one I can see me getting obsessed with and not wanting to put down. So it may need to be started towards the end. Man, dog, steer. Okay, this is an old So Much to Love bag that I actually had to finish out of this year, so it freed it up. And hopefully we'll get another finish this year, or this coming year, because this is a smaller piece. This was gifted to me by a stitcher who couldn't believe I didn't have it yet. And now I get to stitch it. So this is Moon Moth by Stacy Nash. It's beautiful colors. It's 2 strands of straw bonnet in there, so that there's guaranteed to be enough for that hand. And then the moth, this is Lexington green. And you'll remember the fabric that I stitched Halloween at Hollyberry Farm on. Well, what I cut off of the half yard that was left over is perfect for Moon Moth. Man, that's pretty. I love this fabric. And if you want something similar, as I've said before, it's really close to R&R Black Crow, something like that. If you want it, ask me, I'll figure it out. It's whatever I stitch the Clouds Factory Halloween piece on. It's similar to that fabric, which is an R&R fabric. Okay, this bag is from Keepsakes. They have a Etsy shop. I actually just ordered another bag or 2 from them to help me switch out a couple of these. And this is one that Michelle Cozy Egg already has started, and she's going to jump in with me. And Megan may jump in with me because she is the one who bought this for me. This was my thanks for being my friend gift. So this is Birds of a Feather Happy Heart Sampler. How great does this bag go with this? So I have all of the threads, and I decided to put this on my new piece of linen that I got recently from Needle and Flax. This is Hemingway. What they use here is a little bit more yellow. Let's see what's called for. Birds of a Feather no longer dyes fabric, but it's a 36 count of Meadowlark. It looks like a little bit more yellow, but I really like this Hemingway because it's a brown, but it almost has hints of mauve modeling, it feels like, which really makes this work well. I'm going to put this out of print chart back in the folder that she gave it to me in, protect it a little bit. Definitely making a working copy of that before I start this piece. Maybe something I start around Valentine's Day, or maybe around mine and Jim's anniversary. It's kind of got that feel to it. Oh, I'm getting old, guys. 40's coming. This bag was a gift from my sweet friend and neighbor and stitching buddy, Dina, for Making Life Count. It's just so pretty. And in here, I have a piece of Fox and Rabbit baked clay. I kitted this last year to start and didn't start it. This is Anne Got, and it's with my thread conversion, which I tried to pull threads to make it look a little bit more like the antique. And I also darkened up the grass because I just felt like those greens were too muted. And then I have two different reds in here because I just couldn't decide. So we'll figure that out later. But this is Anne Got. So Brenda, Laura, I know you both keep saying that this is one that you need to start. So if you ladies name a day, I'm starting it next year anyway. Just saying. Let me put this baked clay tag back in here. I have an Excel spreadsheet where all of this is notated and figured out, but you also don't want to lose anything. Speaking of Brenda, this one's Brenda's fault. This is another So Much to Love bag. This one is still available on their site. In fact, that tiger bag is too. I want to say I saw it the other day and they're ready to ship. But this is Brenda's antique that hangs in the back of her videos. This is Elizabeth Hunter. Feels like a good bag for this one. My favorite part about Elizabeth Hunter is the pop of navy, which is Weeks Dye Works Fathom. And I'm doing this on a piece of fiber on a whim affogato, which I think is Nicole's Needleworks' new favorite neutral. She's talked about it a lot lately. And I thought to myself, when I was watching one of her last videos, I thought, I have a piece of that in stash. I've got to use that next year. And I feel like it's going to be really good for Elizabeth Hunter. So, Brenda's fault. We're getting there. I can't imagine if Jen tried to do this with all of her starts. It would be crazy. This is the bag that Gultide Welcome was in, so it got freed up. And this is a Blackbird Designs that I'm pretty excited about and have had kitted up for a while. This is Blackbird Designs Halloween Eve. And who knows, maybe I'll start this one on Halloween Eve. That'd be fun. Gosh, I just love it. And because I love Bramble so much, I'm pretty sure this is another piece, yep, of Bramble. This is a really good piece of it too. Look how modeled it is. And has really pretty floss jewelry already on this. Some of these just make me so excited. Like this, doing this video is really getting me pumped for this year. I also started trying to organize my, our guest bedroom is also my craft room. So it's already a really small room. It's really tight. So I was trying to reorganize some things to make it easier to find stuff and less likely for me to make a mess when I'm looking for something. So I now have a magazine folder that's just Blackbird Designs. And it's pretty full. I have this one in a So Much to Love vintage Halloween bag. It's not a Halloween piece, but it's got an autumn feel to it. So it felt appropriate. This is all DMC. And you can tell this is an original design by Hands to Work. And it's all DMC. And you can tell the print of this doesn't show the colors very well. This is Ida Nolt. I want to say this went out of print and is back in print. says Add a Note Revisited. So maybe she recharted it. I'm thinking outside the box a little on the fabric for this. Tell me what you think. I'm kind of excited. This is Fox and Rabbit Winter Wren. Okay, how do I want to do this? So it's a really dark fabric. And all of the colors show up on it really well. The only one that gets maybe even the slightest bit lost is maybe this 869. And it's okay. And it's on the interior a lot. I've always loved this. And if you've ever, like, you look at it here and it's a little underwhelming looking at the model pic, as they often are. But if you see somebody who has stitched this, look it up. It's magnificent. So there's that. This bag was a gift from Megan. She gave this to me last year sometime. And it is all, I mean, when I say this is kitted, I mean, I even have the, what is this called? Horn book. I even have the horn book in here that's made for it. Okay. So this is Autumn Alphabet, made to go on the horn book that's in the photo. These are the called for colors. And I'm pretty sure this is the leftover fabric from where I stitched Blackbird Designs, the one I'm staring at the moment, Old Cockscrow. So I'm pretty sure this is the leftover fabric from that. So it's a great Halloween fabric, and it's XG Designs Old Linen. A little bit darker than what's called for, which is 40 count mocha. It's gonna be pretty. I'm excited about everything. Another dear stitcher sent me this bag set, which I've shown before. She sent me these two bags. And you can see on the back of this one, it says, Happy Birthday, Emily. She stitched that. It's so cool. And I, with lack of bags, have put two different projects in them. So we'll start with the itty bitty one. This has Blackbird Designs Spell of the Moon, which I've wanted to do for a long time and just haven't. It has the called for threads in here. And I have the called for the moon, but then I saw someone else use, Weeks Dye Works Amber, and it looked really cool because of the variegation. So I've got that in there too. And I thought I would go a little outside the box and do it on gingerbread, which means I may use whichever one pops the most, which may be the called for. We'll see. We'll see how it starts to stitch up. If you have opinions on this, down below. Called for or amber. But I like the idea of the gingerbread. I think it's going to be really cute. And this is a leftover piece from where I started a sampler and just didn't need all the fabric and got enough of it stitched where I could trim it off. Now in this one, I either have talked Olivia into starting this with me, or she's starting it with me and she just doesn't know it yet, because I know she has this one. And this is Stacy Nash, the Old White Farmhouse sampler. This is a piece that was sold as a kit, and when I would see it, you could only buy it as a kit. And it was, when I say kit, I mean the chart and the threads. So I had bought it, I want to say on clearance on 133 Stitch a long time ago, and just haven't started it and haven't started it. And it's a shame because it's beautiful. So it has these beautiful pale and dark greens in it, even though the photo looks blue. So I have this leftover fabric that I had dyed for something else. And I thought, that'll look really nice on there. And it's kind of a green gray. I think it'll be really pretty. So Olivia, pull yours out. But that is in this beautiful birthday bag. Getting closer to the front. This is a vintage Owl Lady bag from Susan. It's beautiful. I saw this and had to have it. What's in here is one that I have had. Actually, I didn't buy this one for a long time, and every time I would see it, I loved it. And I was finally like, why haven't you bought this? I only saw it in her Etsy shop, which I think is why I never bought it, because it was like one of the only things in there that I was just dying to have. So this is Lucy Beam Lovin Stitches Rabbit House, and this is by Rebecca Noland. It's really beautiful. So the call for threads are in here, which yet again are threads where when you look at the actual image, it's surprising that those are the threads. To kind of give it more of an antique feel with those threads, I'm going to put it on a 36 count hog bristle. I love the idea of this. I think it's going to be lovely. So there's that. You can probably hear my neighbor's kids outside. They're having a good old time. I feel like that the picture in the image, though, looks kind of like Otter Creek, and Otter Creek isn't called for. So who knows? Maybe I'll pull some Otter Creek and sub that in, because it feels like what it should be. Ellen, this is the one you're starting with me. We already agreed on it, and I think I bought it for you for your birthday. This is Lila's Studio MT 1828. The flowers and the trees, it's just so pretty. Beautiful threads. The fabric that I pulled for this is, oh yeah, I have this in my stash. I don't know what it is. No clue. It has a purple thing on it. It's a Zweigart base. It's a beautiful dye. No idea what it is. But it looks lovely with these threads. It's going to look really nice. So I have this in my Excel sheet as unknown fabric. And you know what? That's okay. I have no idea what this is. Who uses purple hang tags? Where would I have gotten this? I don't know. It's beautiful. I love this bag. And another one from Susan. And I love that there's little skulls and the moths. How pretty is this bag? I got this bag off Etsy from remember telling Laura about it, and she was like, oh, she started making bags again. That's awesome. She doesn't have any more like this, though, so it's pointless for me to tell you right now anyway. She doesn't have any more quilted ones. What's in this bag is Heartstring Samplery's Forever Young. I've had this kitted for a while. Speaking of Otter Creek, this calls for Otter Creek, and there's some in here. So I've had this kitted for a while, ready to go. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, and I'm also a huge fan of the show Parenthood, which, if you watch the show Parenthood, Forever Young is the theme song that plays in the beginning. I love this piece. I love it. And because it reminds me of the show Parenthood, it always makes me think of my good friend Haley, who talked me into watching Parenthood. And it's like her favorite show in the world. So whenever she or I rewatch it, we're like, I'm at this part. It's so good. Please watch that show if you've never seen it. Craig T. Nelson, amazing. So yes, I'm stitching this on Fiber on a Whim Espresso linen. It's a really pretty color. It's darker than what's called for, which I'm kind of excited about because I like a nice richer tone. This next one is the last one that I kitted up for my 40 starts, and it's the last bag that I got in the mail that I ordered because I just thought this was such a cool bag, and it went great with this piece. And look at this bag. Look at this metal zipper. This is from an Etsy shop called Harriet and Frankie. I guess all of her bags have these metal zippers, and I've never heard of her before, and it's just so pretty. This is a Hands Across the Sea sampler that I bought a while ago, downloaded it when it came out, and this is Jane Hardy, 1840. The longest road out is the shortest road home. It's a big house, so you know I love it. And what really turned me onto it for this coming year are the funky colors. I'm really feeling the funk. Not only that, but there is a purple deer and cat, it looks like. And they're purple. Here's the DMC for it, which I still need to put on actual, because it's the last one I kitted. The DMC, I mean, that's the purple. This is a Lakeside linen that I pulled for it, and I think it doesn't have a tag, but I can tell it's Lakeside just from how it looks and the way it's dyed and the way it's folded. And that's ridiculous. But if you're also a Lakeside linens lover, you know what I mean. I think this is Buttercream. It's identical color to Weeks Dye Works Parchment, because I have both, and they were next to each other, and I'm like, well, those are just exactly the same color. And it really just depends on how I really want my linen to feel for this piece. So obviously I went with Lakeside. I mean, I'm really excited. One of my favorite colors or color ranges is the 830 range of DMC, which is what the grass is. And then the roof of the house is 503, which is another great range. And it all just works. It just works. Only bad thing about the metal zippers. They're not always a smooth zip. We're getting down to the finish line. There's only like 5 left. Okay. Funky Bag from Susan at Vintage Owl Lady. This is another one I've had kitted for a long time. I actually had another fabric pulled for this, and now I can't find that fabric for the life of me. But I'm happy with this one, so I'm not going to complain. I actually really like this one. This is La-Di-Da. And speaking of Savory Stitches, I put all of the threads for this on some thread hugs that she sent me. This is a fine house indeed. Look how big that freaking house is. It says, oh, gentle words as peaceful ways. Something spread such brightness over our days. I think, oh, gentle words and peaceful ways which spread such brightness over our days. Would help if I would just read it off the front. So these are the colors, and this is a Victorian motto, neutral. Because let's face it, most of the fabric is going to be covered by that giant house. It's a good one. Did I change any of the colors in that? Feels like maybe I did. But I kitted this up a really long time ago. Yes, I did. I even marked it. You can see where I noted my changes over to the side. Go me. I'm just going to pull what's left out and put it here in my lap. It's going to make this a little easier. We'll start from here. Vintage Owl Bag. Okay, so I had mentioned I was having trouble finding the thread for this, and so many people sent me thread for this. I have too much now. So I'm spread it out into some of the other projects. Don't worry, it's not going unused, but I switched some of the blues for this. This is my weird blue cat. It's in here, Quincy. And this is Miss Prim or Rhonda's Originals on Etsy. And this is the weird blue cat that reminds me of the cat that my mom had in the kitchen when I was growing up. So, got all the thread in this bag. Tons of blue thread. And then this is Fox and Rabbit Prehistoric, which is just like a silver gray. I thought it would make a nice background, where maybe the white from the ears and stuff would pop up just a little bit more. So much blue thread. Thank you guys. It's what this community is all about. Ah, okay. This one has 3 fabrics in it because I don't know. And it's going to be a while before I start it. This is one I'm starting with Michelle Cozy Egg. This is the Primitive Needle Tombstone Spots. And like I said, I have 3. Oh, it's so cool. So these are the called for threads. They're all Weeks Dye Works. And they're all like yellows and different greens and grays and like mauve-y purples. And I initially pulled, oh, whoops, you go with something. I think you go in Fine House Indeed. I think you go in there. It's where you're getting dropped. I initially pulled 36 count Dapple, which is like a green gray. And then I pulled 2 other ones in Being Unsure. Fiber on a Whim Cypress, which was a gift from Letitia. And then Lakeside Vintage Tarnished Silver. And they're all so different. I probably am still going to go with Dapple, but because I'm so unsure, they're all still in here. I really think the Dapple. But like I said, we're all going back in. If you have strong opinions, let me know. What are you? Oh, this is another one that's Brenda's fault. She's working on this currently. Caroline Amelia Trowell by Brenda Gervais. I mean, it's such a cool sampler. It's such a well-made book. I pulled Fiber on a Whim Latte. And all the called for threads, which I should get those out. They came like this. With this is an excess of plastic. Can I say that? You can combine my Weeks Dye Works with my Gentle Art, with my DMC, and then it's all in a separate bag on top of that. So we're going to, thankfully, my husband ships a lot of stuff through eBay himself. And because of that, the nature of what he sends, he appreciates and reuses these bags because it helps protect and make things more watertight in shipping. So these will just get set aside and I'll give them to Jim. But that's nonsense. If you ship, like I understand like 1 bag so that if it gets wet or something, like your threads aren't soppy wet, but there's no need for like 4 bags. So here are the colors on Latte. So I'm like showing all of these in these cute little freeze frames, hoping that it will choose one of those as my thumbnail. And you can set your own thumbnail, I know that, but who's got time for that? But it's going to choose one where it like looks like I'm picking my nose or going, or something like that's going to be my thumbnail now. Because that's just how YouTube likes to operate. Last one. And this is the one I'm starting with Megan. And we're starting this one this coming week. I bought this for her birthday last year. And kitted it, except for fabric, because I knew she'd want to do that herself. Because it just, the colors just scream her. Right? Those are Megan colors. And I have it in this vintage owl bag. I have a piece of XG Designs Mocha beige, and it's not serged, which it's a little annoying. And it's Plum Street Samplers, My Early Days. And this was released originally at the Australian you'd think it would say it doesn't. It was originally released at an Australian retreat and then available to everybody else later. And I just loved it so much I could not wait until it came out. There's some specialty stitches and over 1 in here, I think. So there's that. But I've been willing to do it on the Plum Street ones before, and I'm always love how it turns out. So that's it, guys. those are my 40 starts. And it only took me like almost an hour and a half to show you all of them. I expected it to take much longer. Buster slept through part of it. This needs to go back to where it needs to be. So yeah, if you made it all the way to the end of this, I mean, leave me a cute little crazy looking emoji, like a clown emoji, in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm completely insane, because I am. But anyway, so this starts tomorrow with Elizabeth Isles, and we'll just go from there. Very few things have an actual start date. Like, you know, there's a couple that might get switched out for something else. We'll see. Plans are made to be broken. And other than a couple of specified start dates, I'm just going to start things on a whim. Like, it'll be a Saturday morning, and I'm like, you know what? I know I need to start something at least every 9 days, and it's been a couple of days, so let's do it. Follow me on my journey. I'm going to come up with a hashtag so I can view them all on Instagram at some point. That should be fun. But until then, happy New Year's Eve. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Don't expose yourself to this new COVID variant if you don't have to. It's supposed to be milder, but it's also supposed to be super contagious. And you know, just ease yourself into 2022 because it's been a rough couple of years. Oh, National Introvert Day is Sunday, January 2nd. So, hermits unite. Let's do this. I'm stitching all day long. Bye, guys.